minute, take it around.
Okay.
Day 7.
Okay.
Challenges. Today could best be described as a royal snafu.
I think this is a good picture through the windshield with the rain through it.
When we were first thinking about doing this trip, the biggest challenge I thought we would face was whether or not we could physically do 60 miles on a Segway, and whether the 4 of us could live in such small quarters with 2 dogs. As it turns out, those are not the biggest challenges we face. There is a learning curve that can only develop with practice and performance to make sure we get started on the road, on the right route, and have a Segway ready and waiting when the batteries are about to die.
Yep, time for a Segway swap.
And have all the necessary film equipment to capture whatever might happen, wherever it might happen.
Cool shirt.
You like this shirt?
Yeah. Show off that body, oddy.
You ever see somebody shoot like this?
And then, at the end of the day, make sure that we are all back together in the RV safe and sound. Sounds easy, right? No! Question is whether or not we can coordinate ourselves to manage 60 miles a day. The original plan was that Allison was going to take the first shift on the Segway while I packed up camp and got the RV to the next rendezvous spot in East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. At 5 a.m. it started raining, and then it started raining a lot. This precipitated a change of plan. I decided it would be best if I took the first bad weather shift, and everyone agreed.
To use Wonder Bread bags and things like that. Yeah. Stick them in your... Cut it in half. Stick your foot in it. Tie it. And then slip it in your sneakers. And your feet will stay dry.
So after our last hearty breakfast at the Harmony Ridge campground, I hit the road in the pouring rain.
Here we go.
Bye-bye.
But that left the folks who are least experienced in the RV management to close up our sweet little camp. If you haven't done it before, you'd be surprised how much work it is to stow everything away and launch. Even though it was raining, I had a great glide. I haven't spent any time in northern New Jersey until this trip, and truth be told, I really don't get to spend much time in rural areas in my everyday life. And I just love seeing every family farm and every display of Americana I came across. Then we hit our next big gap. Right after I notified the group that I was down to 3 bars of power on the info key, I found myself in an area without cell service. That meant the group couldn't track me via our Life 360 app, which is essentially a way to find each other, but where there is no cell service, there is no finding your friends. I'd pulled off the road into a state park called the Bushkill Launch to wait for them, but they didn't know that. So there were Kate and Brett driving through the countryside with no way to find me. Big bummer. Fortunately, I knew that sometimes text can get through when a call can't, so I sent out my virtual message in a bottle, hoping they'd find me. A little luck broke our way, and eventually Kate and Brett received the text and tracked me down. And just when we were feeling a little lucky, we realized that the bag that held the info key to the new Segway wasn't in the car. Oh! In case you don't know, you can't start a Segway without its info key. It was a setback to be sure, but at least we weren't busting each other's chops over it. So we marked the spot and headed back to camp to get the info key and drop off the dead Segway. All 3 of us drove back to the new starting point to recommence the tour. We lost some time, but we thought we still had an opportunity to stay on schedule.
Leaving from the mark, take 2.
Except we hadn't thought about the fact that Allison couldn't take down the awning into camp without another set of hands, and neither Sparkle nor Cleo were interested in helping out. More lost time. And not 15 minutes after Kate and Brett returned to camp, I was letting them know I needed a new battery. And if that wasn't enough, when I arrived at the rendezvous point, and could have gone farther, we hadn't programmed that into my phone, and so until I knew which road to take, I was kind of stuck where I was. It was just one of those days. Still, it wasn't a total loss. We didn't advance as far as we would have liked, but Kate and Brett got some great footage. And after Brett and Kate helped her with the RV, Al did a wonderful job moving it to the rendezvous point. There was one other bright spot in the day that needs to be mentioned. The URL on my backside got so much attention that it was clear folks were slowing down to take pictures. In one day, I went from being a crazy woman on a Segway doing who knows what, to a crazy woman on a Segway with a mission folks could learn about.
Mother-daughter.